Keeps, gives, Goddard, tiptoes, touchdown, Philadelphia.
Getting resources down by the line. This is a big one here.
Oh, and they've got him with a big tackle by Bond in the back. He's going to take off, quarterback draw. Jalen takes off, Hurts. Oh, that's too pushy. It looked like almost a fumble. Mishandle on the snap. They say touchdown. That was not clean, but it's arms in the air, touchdown for Philadelphia. Jackson backpedals to the 28 and gets swarmed under by Bond. First down. Saquon. Oh, here he goes. Barkley at the 10, the 5, and the touchdown.
93.
3rd and 11. Nothing to work with there as he's pile driven into the ground by the rookie Cooper.
And welcome to Philadelphia Eagles, the All About the Birds Eagles recap. The Eagles fly in Baltimore 24-19, get the victory. Huge win.
I was giving you 10-2. Huge.
10-2. Huge.
Listen, you know what's crazy? And before you keep going,
a lot of stuff's crazy.
Remember when we were 10-2 last year and not happy campers?
You know, it's funny you said that. I literally just picked up my phone, and it was exactly what you were saying. It's exactly what you're saying.
10-2 last year, and we weren't happy campers. 10-2 this year feels really, really, really different.
It is different, and that's the thing about it. Like, it's 100% different because when you take a look at the way this team is winning, and I think a lot of it has to do with the way that they're gelling, and they're just getting better and better every week, and it's just like. It's absolutely phenomenal to see because you're seeing the growth in some of these players. Like Brandon Graham goes down, Reed Blankenship goes out. You're not playing with Slay. So you're down 3 key defenders and you have a guy like Nolan Smith stepping up his game even more. Jalex Hunt
making a great play.
Jalex Hunt is playing a lot of snaps. He's starting to play better. You have Jordan Davis doing what he does, stuff in the run, 3 yards per carry when he is in the game. Jalen Carter, a monster, a menace. So you have these guys at linebacker. We know what the linebackers are doing. It's just phenomenal to see that the amount of criticism we gave early in the year, which, some of it was warranted, and what they did after the bye.
It was warranted and fair.
It was warranted and fair, but they regrouped after the bye, and they've been a totally different football team. And listen, Jalen Hurts only had 118 passing yards, 11 completions. Barkley another 100 yards, and look, it's like it isn't about blowing away with the stats.
No. All right, so let's really talk about this. So we have mentioned many times that we would love to have these huge blowout victories every single week, and that's just not realistic, not possible. Yesterday's game,
it's not college football.
No, it's not college football. Yesterday's game started out a little rough, and then like they have done the entire season is they made an adjustment, and like the first half they didn't really allow Saquon to run the ball very much, and they kind of realized, hey, that's not our bread and butter as we keep going 3 and out. Our offense in the beginning of the game was bad. But once again, our defense kept us in the game. Our defense, we've said a couple of things now each week. We said defense wins championships. We have the best defense in the NFL. We have said that when you can run the ball in December and later on in the year, you have the tendency to have more success. You're not turning the ball over. That's great. We've talked about the parallels between the Super Bowl winning team where it was the next man up mentality. And Johnny, you already hit that, where it was Brandon Graham went down, Jalex Hunt stepped up. Reed Blankenship went down, Tristan McCullum stepped up. I mean, it was just, and to me, watching our younger guys, like Cooper DeJean making an open field tackle of Derrick Henry.
Textbook tackle.
Open field tackle was the proudest I've been of a rookie in ever, because how many times have we seen players added to this roster that don't know how to tackle with their heads. I mean, look, again, even Darius Slay. Darius Slay is not a fantastic tackler. He is a great defender, but he's not a great tackler. So watching Cooper DeJean as a rookie do that, I mean, it was, while the game was tough and hard fought, it was a great game to watch. It is a potential Super Bowl matchup. We isolated. I mean, look, you had a tight end go off a little bit, and Mark Andrews. That's what happens. But you shut down a different facet of the game. You confused.
You didn't hear from Zay Flowers.
No, because he kept dropping balls. He had a couple catches early in the game. He did a couple early in the game. It feels good.
No, listen. I think you would look at the game. Like, the offense struggled. I get that. Baltimore plays very well at home. Lamar Jackson had only lost one time to an NFC team, which was a Saquon Barkley-led Giants team, which is funny. His 2 losses were against Saquon, just on different teams. Eagles had never won in Baltimore. Baltimore plays very well at home. They are, a hard-nosed team. They're coached very well. So it wasn't going to be an easy task. And the Eagles struggled. The defense, they were able to keep themselves after the Baltimore went down and, they scored. It was 9-0. And Eagles were able to hold defensively until they start to get the wheels rolling there. And they scored 14 points before half, and it was 14-12 going into half. But,
and they took advantage of Ravens mishaps, right? Yeah. So one of the X factors on that Ravens team is that they have, up until this season, the greatest kicker in NFL history. And he's got the yips, and he gave up 5 points.
Yeah.
Right? No, more than 5. How many he gave up?
7.
2 missed field goals.
2 missed field goals, an extra point. 7.
7 points. So, yes, that is literally the difference in the game. But rather than playing down to that level, they kept the pressure on. That 24-19 score is not indicative of the domination and physicality of that game. They got a garbage time touchdown and really beat up on a good Ravens team, but exposed their weaknesses the same way Pittsburgh did. You can out-physical that Ravens team.
Yeah, the Eagles come with physicality. That's just what they do. That's they wear you down as the game goes on. And I think, looking at it as a whole, like, it's just, the linebacker play is just unbelievable to watch every single week. It just seems like it gets better and better.
We were talking about that in the green room.
It's unbelievable. And you take a look at these defenders who are free agents going into next year, and you look at a Zach Bond, a Milton Williams, a Josh Sweat. Like, listen, those guys, like, I know Josh Sweat, they revised his deal and, weren't sure what kind of player he was going to be and what they were going to. He's played pretty damn good this year. And look at
stepped up when he's had to.
Yeah, you look at those guys, and then if you throw a guy on the offensive side of the ball like a Mekhi Becton, those are some 4 key guys that you want to try and keep around. And it's going to be hard too, because some of these guys are going to get some good money. But I listened to listening to the radio. I was listening to Hugh Douglas talk about Zach Bond. And, like, you have to realize, listen, the Eagles gave you a chance. They gave you this opportunity to be a starter. And sometimes it takes the right coach to know your skill set, to know how to use you, to develop you, to, do all that. And that's what the Eagles have seemed to been able to do with Bond. And it isn't all about, let's get the most money, let's go somewhere else. Because if you go somewhere else, what happens if the situation then starts to revert back to, maybe the scheme isn't what it's supposed to be. Maybe there's a whole lot when it comes into that.
And so, again, you and I were talking in the green room about how at some point you do have to sign a linebacker for a long-term deal. So we think about it. TJ Edwards had a great start to his career. We didn't pay him. He cashes in. Kaiser White comes here on a 1-year deal, has a great season, cashes in. Zach Bond is having an all-pro season. He is the hidden gem of this Eagles defense. And at some point, you have to pay a guy like a Zach Bond, who, by the way, is enjoying being here. He has said, Mekhi Becton has said that being a Philadelphia Eagle is revitalizing their careers. So it's the kind of thing to me that, number one, it's the unfinished business idea. So depending on what happens in the outcome of the season, because again, only one team can win the Super Bowl. And obviously we are hopeful that it will be the Philadelphia Eagles this year. But playing the odds, it is not a guarantee that the Eagles win the Super Bowl. You have to hope that they have an unfinished business mentality in that situation. You also have to hope that with what this team is building, that if we do end up winning the Super Bowl, they go, this is where I want to be. Mekhi Becton has found himself in Philadelphia, a first-round pick that absolutely went to waste. And it's really just the Jets organization. I mean, you're seeing it with Sam Darnold. You're seeing it with Mekhi Becton. These are guys who were left to dead. But Zach Bond's going to want to be here. How can you not want to be here?
And
how can you not want to be here?
You just take a look at the vibes in the locker room. It's just, everyone taking photos. It's just like everything is just, they're on a train right now and they're just coming down, and whoever's in their way is getting knocked off the tracks. And
they're getting pushed off the tracks. And that's the physicality piece. This is a team that wants to go out and punch you in the mouth.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It's fantastic.
And I think the way you look at it too is you take a look at the defense. They are so young and it's crazy. Like you have a couple veterans, but they're not like BG was the oldest guy. He was supposed to be playing his last year. We'll see how that goes, but they don't have a ton of older guys. They got so much youth there, and these guys are just growing with each other. And it's fantastic to see, because you have guys, and just to take a look at the Georgia guys, the Nakobe Deans, the Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, we saw flashes last year
at the right time.
Nolan Smith, you see all these guys, and it's just, and listen, I'm going to give you this too. I'm going to give two other guys who are on the defensive side of the ball, but they are both backups. And I do believe they still need to get a little bit of credit here. And that's Sidney Brown and Keagy Ringo. Those two guys as gunners on the punt is unbelievable. And
Keagy Ringo did not have a great game yesterday.
No, Keagy Ringo had the penalty, which was, was not very smart, but those two guys are flying down the field, ready to hit somebody. And, I just think you take a look at this team is as a whole, it's just the cohesiveness right now, the way they play, it's phenomenal. And what's even better is, you're getting Smitty back. And I think that's one awesome aspect that we need to see. It does suck about, Goddard, looks like week to week. So you're going to have to rely on Calcaterra, and CJ Uzoma is probably going to be activated to the active roster.
We also saw those. We've seen Calcaterra. I mean, I'm going to focus only on Calcaterra. We saw him step up in the absence. And I was listening into Sirianni's press conference today, and he said, in previous years when Calcaterra has had to step up, he hasn't been able to add production, right? So it means more looks for Devontae, it means more looks for AJ. That's not the case this year. Goddard is making it availability to help this team out, which is just, it's unfair, because Saquon Barkley is allowing you to be open as a tight end, to be a wide receiver that's open. I mean, I was worried when, Johnny Wilson wasn't going to play yesterday. And ended up not playing yesterday, because that was just another receiver. And it's not like Paris Campbell stepped up. It's not like Jahan Dotson stepped up. It's not like anybody else stepped up. It was just Saquon said, all right, put it back on my back. I got you. And Jalen Hurts did not do too much. Like, you have on the stat line there, 11 of 19 for 118 yards and a touchdown. That is, as a quarterback, that's whatever.
Yeah.
But what did he get? The win.
Yeah.
His team will do whatever it takes to win. It
was a little tough too, because you had a number of 3-and-outs. So that'll really hurt you. And of course, Baltimore had a couple long drives. So the stats will kind of be skewed a little bit. But again, Barkley 23 for 107 and a touchdown. And he had AJ 5 for 66. AJ had 5 catches. Dallas had 3 catches. Right there's 8. That means only 3 more completions went to everybody else. So it's like, you don't have, there's one ball, but these guys have bought in, and it's let's get the victory. whoever it is will shine. And that's just how it is. And honestly, you love to see it. And listen, there's going to be a lot of, depending on the way the season ends and, the way right now it's going. Listen, Nick Sirianni, early in the year, I was wrong in saying, certain things like I didn't think he was going to be here after but he's had 3 straight, at least 10-2 or better starts. No other Eagles coach could say that, not even Andy Reid. He's number 5 all time in win percentage. It's
in NFL history?
In NFL history. And it's unreal the way that, it's ridiculous the way people will still kind of throw it a little bit. But listen, there's going to be Nick Sirianni apology forms that are going to be sent out to Eagles fans because the man's going to get a contract extension. And there's no way he doesn't deserve it right now for what he has done.
And he should. And if you recall, so you were much more many weeks ago on the let's get rid of him mentality. You'd kind of seen enough. You hadn't forgiven him from the epic collapse the previous year. And I was kind of the mindset of, listen, he still goes to the playoffs every year. He's a Super Bowl appearing coach. He gets a little more leeway, but he had to make some adjustments. And what ends up happening? He makes the adjustments, which for Eagles fans, we have not seen that nearly enough over the last couple. I mean, Peterson was set in his ways. Chip Kelly set in his ways. Andy Reid set in his ways. So as Eagles fans, we have struggled to see a guy go, you know what? Let me listen to my players. Let me know what they do best. Let me run the ball because that's what our team does best. Because we have Saquon Barkley, and we know that when we get A.J. Brown the ball, it might be a 5-yard catch, and it might be an 18-yard catch, and it might be an 85-yard catch. We just don't know. We have all the pieces in place. And when Sirianni was hired all those years ago, he said, I want to be a player's coach who puts players in their best position to succeed. And he is holding true to that. Nick Sirianni, when you look at our schedule the rest of the way, we have the Panthers this week. So I'm not necessarily worried about the Panthers. I think we can physically, we can beat them up a little bit. I mean, yes, they've given a rundown to the Chiefs last week, but we can still
We'll get into more of that on the preview show.
Yeah.
There's a couple stats and a couple things I want to bring up because they're very interesting.
The only real game, in my opinion, that we have left is the Steelers.
I still have to say Washington because you're going to Washington.
But by that point, look, Washington looks good, and they're in contention for a wild card spot. But by now, we have so many games up on them.
Yeah,
I'm not as worried about
Eagles are still fighting for that 1 seed. So that 1 seed is going to come into play. Big time.
And if you look at the rest of the NFC, the Lions are starting to get very, very unhealthy at the wrong time of year. San Francisco is done for. Completely and totally.
San Francisco's nowhere close. I'm talking more like Minnesota, Green Bay, Lions.
Minnesota, Green Bay, and the Lions. So the NFC North.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, you can't. I think it's going to be a tough game because you're going to their place. That's just what I'm going to say. It's going to be a tough game, but
I'm not writing anybody off right now. But watching the way that we physicaled Baltimore, I'm no longer stressing out. There's going to be a game in the next couple of weeks where it's kind of not our best product, but I, for the first time in a very long time, trust this team to make the adjustments to correct course.
Yeah, it's excuse me. It's going to be very interesting too to see well, one, I want Slay to come back because I think we have to get into this really quick, and it's pretty set with a lot of people. Is I really don't want to see Avonte Maddox on defense anymore because the 2 plays he was in, the one was a holding call, which negated a 3rd down sack for Josh Sweat, which was a little ticky-tack. I would say so because later in the game, Dallas Goedert was tugged and you didn't get a flag, but again, they called it. So, and
he just
the other play he was in, Nelson Aguilar dusted him off the line of scrimmage and he just dropped the ball. So if he would actually
as Nelson Aguilar is prone to do.
As if he would have had regular hands and caught the ball, he would have been in bounds and, inside the 5-yard line. So those two plays, like, you got to see something where you just like, I'm sorry, but I'm giving Eli Ricks the opportunity, and I'm not giving it to Avonte. I'm giving it to Keagy. I'm giving it to somebody else besides Avonte Maddox, just because. I'll even give it to Sidney Brown. I'll let Sidney Brown have a try at that, because I'm sorry. I don't trust him whatsoever.
What Maddox was really good for was being that slot corner. And unfortunately, because of the speed of the game, he just doesn't have the speed to compete with that position group anymore. And you're seeing that after all these injuries that he had, he's just not able to keep up with the speed of the game. And that's not a slight on him. It's just he is what a 30-year-old corner looks like.
Yeah. He's just been beaten up every single year. It just seems, they've taken their toll. And unfortunately, it is what it is now. It's just he's not an NFL player anymore. Like, he's a special team player right now.
I'll add this. I won't say that he's not an NFL player. There is a spot somewhere in the NFL for him.
Yes.
He is not a championship. He's not a championship team caliber player anymore, which is what the Eagles roster is made up of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just something I wanted to bring up, because every time I see him in the game, I'm like, oh man, they're going to target him. They're going to target him. It's not going to be good. And usually that's right. So I want to see them kind of roll out something different. Hopefully you get Slay back so you don't have to do that. But it's been fun to watch. And, we'll get into the preview on Wednesday night to break down the Eagles and Panthers matchup. But hey, Eagles get the win. They're 10-2. They're flying high right now. 8-game win streak. This is fun to see. It's fun to watch. They're improving every single week. So, all you can do is, hopefully these injuries aren't as bad when you look at Blankenship and you look at Goddard. So we'll see as time. The Eagles did waive Paris Campbell, so there's a spot open, which I'm guessing is probably going to be CJ Uzoma, because you need to have another tight end active. So there's some things that are going to have to be done roster wise this week. So we will wait and see on that. But with that, thanks for everyone tuning in. And as we always do, we always end it with this time it's a very joyful, as it's been the last 8 weeks. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.